topics for this class. We went ahead and covered arrays, and then we covered array lists, and we pulled individual information out one at a time. What I want to do is talk about how to loop through all the results in the various items rather than have to pull out individually stuff. So what I did is I created my start class here, and I'm going to create 4 methods. An array loop using a for statement, and an array loop using an array using a for each, which is a new topic. Then we'll talk about an array list using a for loop, and then we'll talk about using an array list for each, which again is a new topic. So I went ahead and created the stubs for both of those in practice. So if you look down here at the bottom, there's array for each, array list for, and array list for each. And I went ahead and created up here at the top deposits, and I used my shortcut way for my array to put in some doubles of various deposits amounts. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values inside of it. And then I had an array list which cannot hold primitive types, so I went ahead and used the class object of character, and there's nothing in it, so I'm going to have to add elements to it. So I've got this build array list. So let's go back to start, and we're going to go ahead and use Tom to build my array list so that I'll have access to it in a future lesson here. So build list, and I think I misspelled that, so it's actually build array list because that's what it is. Let's go ahead and fix that part, and then everything should be good. And so let's go ahead and first do our array for loop. So let's do this one up here that has a double data type, and then we have our the values that go inside of it. So we have a for loop here. Let's go ahead and do the old-fashioned for loop. Not that it's old-fashioned, but we are going to int, and we'll set a equal to 0. We want to start at the 0 index of that particular array, and we want a to go until we get to the size or length of that particular array, and we are going to increment a each time. We want to go through each of the indexes. So we're going to go ahead and system out the name of our array, which is deposits. And then if you remember how we access them, we use the square brackets and we give it the index. So I'm just going to go ahead and print the A there. So that should loop through all the various pieces of it. So that's one way to do it. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens here. And if we run our code, whoops, I'm running the wrong code again. Let's go ahead and close that. Let's come back over to start here and run the right code this time. There we go. So there's our numbers that we put into our array list. So 123.43, and the last one's 99.0. And we can validate that by looking up here. There's the 123.43, and then 99. Now there's no 0.0, but because we're putting them into a double, it automatically puts the decimal at the end of it. So I didn't have to, but that just printed out everything inside of it. And to do that, we just loop through the various indexes. Well, there's another way to do that, and that's called a for each. So a for each, you have to know what type of data is being stored. So the structure is pretty similar. I'm going to go ahead and copy most of this stuff here. So I have a for statement, and then I'm going to print something out. But what I'm going to do different here is how the for loop is structured. So we know that everything that's in the deposits array is a double. So this is a double, that's a double, that's a double. Every single element's a double. So with that being known, we can go ahead and say, okay, when I access something here, it's going to come out as a double. And I'm going to tell it I want each item that's in deposits, I want to pull out one at a time, and each time I pull it out, I want to put it into A. A is a double, so A can hold it. So just like we declared an int up here, we're declaring a data type that matches each of the items. So get me the deposits array, starting at the beginning, pull out one element at a time and put each one into A. A can hold it because it's a double, and then print it out. So this is going to do exactly the same thing the other one did. The difference is I'm not going to have to access it based on index. I'm only going to access it based on the value coming out. Now with the for loop, I have some control because I can change the index. I can skip certain things and stuff like that. Down here, I really don't have the ability to skip. So for each is best if I'm going to access every single item in that list or that array, regardless of any other conditions. Here I can do some checks and balances, But array list or array for each is really going to design to pull out everything one at a time. So if I go ahead and run this, you're going to see no difference. I probably should have put a line there, but there's 123 to 99, and then it repeats it one more time down below. So I could stop this at certain points. Here, I'm just the value of A. I would have to do some kind of check on the value in A and do my continue or my break or whatever I want to do inside that. But sometimes you need to know the index and sometimes you don't. Sometimes I want to control what happens. Sometimes I just want to pull out everything in order the way they're coming out. So that is a for loop on how to access the information. This is a for each. We still use the word for, but this part that goes inside of here where I have initiation, semicolon, check, semicolon, incrementer has been replaced by the name of the array and some variable to hold each element as it comes out. Okay, so that's from an array perspective. On the next lesson, we'll look at it from an array list perspective.